Editor-in-Chief is live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, good morning. You're with the Editor-in-Chief live. Welcome to the program. Great to have you company this morning. Welcome along. I'm Duncan Garner, and today, what do you know about the Manosphere? Misogyny online posing as simple masculinity? I don't think so. And if you have a young boy, what is he watching, and how is his mind being shaped by someone like Andrew Tate? So we'll look at this. Masculinity is important, but misogyny is unwelcome, isn't it? So I'll talk to the Chief Censor about the alarming content that's on the online right now, what needs to be done about all of this. And I speak to Rob Cope, expert in all things digital, about us manning up to this and showing our boys how to be good young men. It's not always easy. I personally have seen boys get influenced by Tate and the fallout from that. Jump on the YouTube or TikTok link, leave a comment. Be great to have you here. It's news time. Here's MediaWorks Deputy News Editor. It is Grace Cocker. Good morning.
Good morning, and starting a little back to front this morning, but with good reason. New Zealand has its first medal of the Olympics on Sky Sport.
Gold for New Zealand. A team without peer has done it again.
The Black Ferns Sevens have won gold, defeating Canada 19-12 in a pulsating final in Paris. The defending champs trailed at 12-7 at half-time, but took the lead through a Michaela Blythe try. Leading 14-12 with 2 minutes to play, the smiling assassin sealed the deal.
And now Stacey Walker puts the foot down to go flying to the corner and score a critical try for New Zealand.
And co-captain Sarah Hiddeny told Sky Sport the team was energised by the fans.
What this crowd has done for us over the last few days, what Aotearoa does for us on the daily. They get up in the middle of the night to watch us. We feel you, we hear you, we see you. This one's for you guys. We're bringing that gold medal back to Aotearoa. Let's go.
To news, a Hezbollah commander has reportedly survived an assassination attempt by Israel. An IDF strike hit a residential building in southern Beirut. CNN's Ben Wiedemann says this is a dangerous moment in time.
So we'll have to simply wait and see how Hezbollah is going to respond. But I know that organization well. They are not going to go quietly into the night.
A crackdown on gangs is a step closer to reality. An amendment bill has passed its second reading in Parliament. It will give police the ability to issue dispersal notices and also give greater weight to gang membership as an aggravated factor at sentencing. And New Zealand's being warned about losing trust after backing out of its climate goals. This includes withdrawing its 2030 carbon reduction target. Climate and business professor Sarah Walton says investors need certainty.
That Air New Zealand is still innovating and it is still going to be keeping up globally with some of the key sustainable efforts that are happening around major airlines.
And a fresh take on a Kiwi classic has taken home the top gong at the Pie Awards. The slow-cooked Sumatra-style beef from Rangiora Bakery has been crowned supreme winner. That's news and sport.
I think it's Grace's first time that a South Island bakery has won it. First time, 29
all
years.
I know is I read the release and got really hungry. And my overnight oats are not looking as appealing as a pie.
Are you feeling woman power this morning?
I am. The woman bringing it home, getting us our first medal of the Olympics, not to mention a gold. It's always a good start.
Back to back. So they won the Olympic gold medal 4 years ago. They've done it again. So
And it was a great game.
Yeah.
Also, I don't mind the sevens. I will be honest, men's or women's, because it's short, nice and short, sharp, 14 minutes, done and dusted. That's how all games should be.
They love it. Hey, Caleb, did Australia get beaten into third or fourth? What was the deal there?
Yeah, so Australia have not medalled in the sevens, which is huge because they won the grand finale at the Madrid World Seven Series sort of thing. They do it a bit differently now, where they all converge on one tournament at the end of the year. So, yeah, USA scored right on full time and then kicked the conversion to win. Wow. Huge moment.
See, that makes our gold a little bit sweeter, right?
Doesn't
when we beat the Trans-Tasman rivalry really coming out of the Olympics.
Well, yeah, because in the final tournament in Madrid, Australia beat us in that final.
Yeah.
So it's huge.
A moment of silence.
Kick to boot, right?
A moment of silence for the Australians. A moment of silence maybe. Okay, thanks, Grace. Good stuff.
Duncan Garner.
Right, it's time to talk about Andrew Tate. The online influencer has a grip on the mind of our boys, and his influence is anything but positive if you know anything about him. Not only has he been charged with rape and human trafficking, he says women belong in the home. Can't drive and are a man's property. This is what he says. And he's not operating alone. The Manosphere, the term for the websites, blogs and online forums promoting this type of content, is everywhere. It's misogyny disguised as some kind of masculinity, which is not. Now our own classification office is sounding alarm bells about all of this content. They recently released an extensive report detailing what's out there and the consequences on young male minds. It's really concerning. Chief Censor Caroline Flora joins me now to discuss the findings. Caroline, g'day, welcome to the program. Nice to have you on.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
How concerned are you? I saw that report and read it and thought, man, this is alarming. I've got a 14-year-old boy and boys in my life, and have done for quite some time, and I can see the influence. They look at this stuff. How concerning is it?
It is really concerning. And look, we did this research because we had noticed some things within the work that we classify. So here at the Classification Office, we have a forensic function, and that is to determine whether publications cross that really high threshold for being banned. And that means that the content is objectionable. And we were noticing through terrorist and violent extremist content a lot of threads of misogyny. So that's why we carried out this research in that really extreme end, but we couldn't ignore how people were being attracted to that type of content. And misogynistic influences, or those that exist in the manosphere and push those ideas of radical feminism and hatred towards women, are dragging people towards those more extreme ideas. And that happens for a number of reasons.
Is this available widely on the net, or is it sort of on the dark web? And is it in places that we can't find, or is it openly available?
So the really extreme content is banned, and what I'm talking about here is like the likes of the Christchurch mosque terrorists manifesto. He had a whole chapter on radical feminism. So did the Oslo terrorists, and I'm not just talking about casual sexism here. I'll read you a little bit about what the Oslo terrorist said. And remember, he killed 77 people, including 69 young people on the island of Utoya, and he writes about men as the victims of radical feminists who would seek to destroy the supremacy of white males and undermine the intrinsic worth of native Christian European heterosexual males. And he writes this to justify the belief that women need to be killed as part of impending civil war. And he warns his followers, and he does have followers, that they must embrace and familiarize yourself with the concept of killing women, even very attractive women. Now, that might sound really extreme, but this isn't just ramblings of a madman. These ideas do get traction amongst those disaffected people who really are attracted to those kind of ideologies. And we know that because they tell us that themselves through their writings, through their manifestos, through the content that comes through this office.
It's utterly delusional. It's deluded and quite frankly so out there that anyone with any common sense, half a brain and some knowledge of the world would just dismiss it.
Sadly, the work of this office has changed over the last couple of years, and particularly since Christchurch. We are seeing more extreme violence, violent extremism, and terrorist content coming through the office. These are live streams of real-world violence. These are manifestos. The other thing we noticed that sparked our interest in doing this research is the emergence of specific terrorist ideologies that are focused on a hatred of women, and they call themselves incels. That means involuntary celibates, and they really have an intense hatred for women, an intense feeling of entitlement for sex, and they hate men who love women as well. It's a really complex ideology, but it is something that we ought to keep an eye on. The New Zealand SIS in their threat assessment a couple of years ago did have a look at incel ideology and how it's potentially could manifest here in Aotearoa, and nothing's impossible.
What about guys like Andrew Tate? See, he's quite accessible he has been accessible in the past for our young boys, hasn't he?
He is. And as part of this research, we looked at some of the drivers of kind of online misogyny. So just to be clear, nothing that Andrew Tate, we haven't classified any Andrew Tate material. The things that he says are under New Zealand law legal. He has breached platform terms and conditions, so he's been booted off Instagram and other platforms for his extremely misogynistic content. But what our research found is that particularly young men who enjoy engaging with this will be encouraged to jump off those platforms that do moderate their content and go onto those platforms that don't, where they can be exposed to more extreme ideas.
See, misogyny is misogyny, and while it's not a great thing and not a good thing, it's not illegal in New Zealand. So you can still run the content. The content's still accessible and legal in many ways, isn't it?
That's right. there's nothing illegal about expressing offensive views. And I want to be clear that this office cannot ban anything just because it's misogynistic. What I'm talking about, that extreme content, is where misogyny appears alongside other classifiable content that's normally violence and terrorist content.
So what would you like to see happen from here? So you classify, so you can ban stuff and you can make sure stuff isn't seen, but only to a point. And so what is it that you'd like to see from here? Do you need more powers, or does there another office needs to be set up in terms of banning this sort of stuff? Because I know that was put on hold, wasn't it? So what do we do from here?
I think regulation is only one tool, and honestly, conversations, particularly with young people, are really important. And I think your next guest is going to talk about that. We just released some more research on Monday into the online experience of young people and body image. And I'll read you a quote from a young woman who refers to Andrew Tate. This is the kind of stuff that we need to listen to. We need to listen to young people. She's 15 and she says, I know the boys have been exposed a lot to Andrew Tate content and it's really unnecessary. They say, I love Andrew Tate, I hate women. It's crazy because if they hadn't been on social media, they wouldn't have been exposed to that. And this is in the context of being bullied about their bodies and their images is not living up to the ideals expected of young people who follow or are engaging in misogynistic content.
You see, that's an example of where it's actually having a real impact on people's lives here, and not in a good way, in a way that we've seen and reported on this, that people have taken their own lives as a result of pressure and bullying around body image and so forth, people taking pictures of themselves and posting it on the net. It's just a no-no. Don't do it. Just think, who's going to see this? It stays there forever.
And look, our research into misogyny online also revealed that women and girls are more likely, obviously, to receive harassment and abuse online, but are more likely to be the victims of deep fake pornography, where their likeness is unconsensually put into pornography. One study showed that 80% of the unconsensual pornography of deep fake type online targets women.
You want people like me as a father to sit down with our boys and tell them how to become better men, don't you? You want conversations around the dinner table to be happening regularly, don't you?
I think here at the Classification Office, we provide a lot of tools for parents, educators and young people to have conversations about what they're seeing so that they can make sense of it, so that they can critically think about what they're exposed to, how it's making them feel, how it might be changing their attitudes and behaviors. And yeah, around the dinner table, around any type of content, these discussions are really healthy.
My son goes to, it's now a co-ed Mount Albert Grammar, so they brought in girls a number of years ago. And I think it's actually balanced the school. Beforehand, this was 2,000 young men. And now it's 3,500 young men and young women. And I think it softens the men. And I was talking to the principal about this very topic a couple of weeks ago, and he said it takes that hard edge off their attitudes towards women, and which is a good thing, I think. If they have those attitudes of misogyny, then it takes it away because they've got the young girls in the class with them. So they're sort of confronted by it. So do you think, is there an issue with our schooling system?
Oh, look, I couldn't comment on that. What I would say is that stuff that kids are exposed to online gets easier to process as they get older. And actually our research that we released on Monday tells us that as well, that the body image stuff they find really confusing and impactful when they were younger, but less so when older. And it's probably the same with this misogynistic content or content encouraging problematic behaviour between genders. They can make more sense of it when they're older. And so that's a kind of decision for parents about how much social media their young people have, how much they're talking about it and helping them to make sense of it.
When would you, you may not be able to answer this, and I'll ask Rob the same question, but when should kids, early teenagers be getting devices and things like that? When's it's such a hard thing to police and manage in a household now, but when should they be exposed to that sort of stuff?
It's really, really difficult to say. What I'd say a couple of things about social media. It's not just content. And look, that's the kaupapa of this office. for 30 years looked at what appropriate age content is through films and movies and that kind of thing. It's not just communication either. They're communicating with their friends, they're having fun, they're communicating often with strangers. It is all of it. And the way that the social media platforms are designed, particularly the engagement algorithms. And so one young person's social media experience will be completely different to the next because it's highly individualized for them. And it takes account of who they are, their identity, their age, their interests, who's around them, and potentially how they're feeling, and amplify some of those things. So I would encourage parents to think of social media particularly as an experience that young people are in that is unique to them.
It is such a good chat. It is such an interesting topic. And it's a worrying topic, but it's something that we can, if we're aware of it, at least have the conversations about it, you know?
100%. We really, really encourage those open conversations, and also encourage parents to note the minimum age requirements that the platforms themselves put on. A lot of young people are telling us they're getting around that. And we have some great resources on our website on parental controls, if that is something that parents want to do, on devices, internet settings, gaming, Netflix, all of those.
No, it's fascinating. Hey, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, all the best.
Duncan Garner.
Okay, so we just heard about the Manosphere. That's how they talk about it, and how influencers like Andrew Tate are spreading their BS to our boys. But there's a reason our lads are turning to these misogynists like Tate. They're trying to find out what it means to be a man. So how can we make sure that we show them how to be a good man, so they don't need to listen to the haters and to the weirdos? You know? Rob Cope works in the area of cyber safety for our kids, and he joins me now to talk about manning up for our boys. Man, we could go on forever. We haven't even started yet. This is such a massive topic, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is huge. And what you were just talking about, Andrew Tate, I mean, Andrew Tate, he taps into something that's very primal for young men. When you think about it, what do young men do? They love to game because that's simulated fighting, and they watch porn because that's fucking. And that's like biologically, if we go back tens of thousands of years, you know, it's hunting, it's fighting, and it's reproducing. And that's and Andrew Tate kind of taps into that, and into something that our young men aren't really finding in the real world, but tapping into it.
The real world's become, as a solo dad, I've got to be sometimes the mum and the dad, and our roles have changed. I look at my father's role compared to my role now. We are way softer. We got way less edge to us. They whacked us for discipline. We can't do that. I mean, there's so many things that have changed. It didn't come with a rule book, Rob. It just said, right, deal with it.
Yes.
So our boys are looking at, my boys looks at me and goes, right, what's dad now? What's dad become? You know?
Yeah, and we're trying to figure it out ourselves because manhood, even from my father's generation, it's shifted so far, and we're struggling to figure it out. And even Henry Thoreau said in 1854, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. You know, that's like 170 years ago.
Oh, God, look at it now. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
Has he seen what we're dealing with now?
And so
masculinity is okay, though, isn't it?
What's that, sorry?
Masculinity is okay.
I think we're lost with our masculinity.
We're lost with it.
Yeah, I think our traditional roles have shifted so far. And back in the day, like we're going back hundreds of years, boys would have been raised in the fields with their dads. They would have spent all day with their dads. They would have learned the trades. They would have learned what to do. And then slowly, like, education came along, and boys and all of our kids were taken and put in the classroom, and we lost that. And now I think they said it best.
They can't do anything.
Well, I think
they
said it best in Fight Club, which isn't a fantastic film, but it had some really poignant points in there that said, we're a generation of men raised by women. Now, you imagine a generation of women, who are raised by men. You'd have very masculine women.
Yes. So what we're saying, we've got very feminine men.
Well, we're just a bit lost, because it's like, how do I be a man? What does a man mean? I've got all of these urges and desires, and I don't know what to do with them. And I'm a bit lost because I used to be the provider, but now my wife earns more than me. So how does that fit? And the rise of women has been fantastic. And if you want to get shit done, get a woman to do it, because women get shit done.
Yeah. Thank you, Miranda.
Absolutely.
But I see this with my young guy and all his mates. They're all macho men, and they're gonna do this to someone, and they're gonna do this, and it's all about being blokey and boy, and it's I'm sure we were like that too. But to be 50 years of age, sitting back and listening to it, and I shake my head at some of it,
Yeah.
But they're fighting themselves.
Well, they are. They're very much. And the thing is, if we're not there as an active part of their lives constantly, not all day, but every day, then they're going to be trying to find their masculinity with each other. And it's like the blind leading the blind. So they'll turn to people like Andrew Tate because a part of what he says is true. And a part of any person who gets a great following, it's usually because there's something that they're saying that's true, and then they add all their extra bullshit in there.
Yeah.
And so
but that's
Andrew
what they take
Tate-
too far. Like an element of it might be true.
Yeah, a small percent
Yeah,
of
but
what
then
Andrew Tate says.
comes all the hogwash around it.
Exactly. And if you watch his stuff, I would suggest parents go watch his stuff if you want to see how bad it is. Because it's like women are here pretty much to be your sex slaves.
To serve you.
Yeah. And, you know, he was on, what was it, Big Brother in the UK, and he got kicked off because he was up on, was it
Do you think he
either...
believes this, or does it start to stir?
What's that, sorry?
Do you think he believes it?
I think he does believe it because look, he was an international kickboxing star. He's tall, he's good looking, he's rich. Like he is the personification of what a lot of boys think a real man should be.
And this is why the boys want to go out there and buy their Calvin Klein undies and have them above their belt, and buy the fancy shoes and buy 5 pairs of them. And they can't keep up. That's not the real world.
No, and that's why they get lost in a fantasy world of online gaming. Because there they can be the warrior. There they can be the fighter. They can save the woman, save the day.
But they forget that when they leave the bedroom, they've still got that going on.
Yes, yeah. And that's why we need to get our boys offline and get them into the real world.
Right,
Put that time into our boys. And if us as men are lost, which a lot of us are, I would recommend any dad out there go read the book called Manhood by Steve Biddulph.
Manhood.
Yep, I was first given that book 30 years ago.
Why is it so good?
He's just very good at articulating what the problem is with us men and why we feel so lost. The starting of his book, he says we're like tigers raised in a zoo. And that's what it feels like. We've got all of this raging energy inside of us.
Yeah.
But we don't know where to place it. We don't know what to do with it.
This is why using the energy is good. So sport. Sport's good.
Yeah.
Just something physical.
But then that can become toxic as well.
Oh, well, usually is.
Yeah. So there should be. It's not just sport. It's like dancing. Traditionally throughout cultures, dancing was a massive part. I'm not a dancer at all. I'm also not a fighter. So a lot of these. But traditionally, they would take boys at around 12 years old. They would take them away from the mums, and they would initiate them into manhood. They would teach them fighting. They would teach them dancing. They would teach them rituals, and they would become part of the man tribe. And we don't have that.
No, we don't. But you do see with the MMA, all this, and that's online too. And the Grand Theft Auto, driving aggressively and abusively, and that's.
And more men are likely to die on the roads than young women because we've got all of this testosterone, and it feels good to drive fast. There's power in that. It feels good.
See, and that's been around for a long time. You get behind the wheel, and suddenly you're entitled to abuse people. To break the laws.
I'm terrible behind the wheel. I'm actually quite a nice person in real life, but behind the wheel, I'm an asshole.
Oh, you get a little bit of an attitude, do you?
Oh yeah, well I'm just like get out of my way. I'm going somewhere.
Was your father like that?
Not behind the wheel. He was a bit of an angry dude growing up.
Yeah,
but,
mine was pretty stern.
Yeah, it was more like distance. He worked like 2 jobs. He was working his ass off, and when he was home, he was absent. He was lost in his own world. And I think a lot of us grew up with that. And a lot of us have tried to overcompensate by trying to be there so much. But we still haven't figured out our own masculinity.
See, we're guinea pigs. I'm a guinea pig dad.
Very much so.
Like my dad, he told me he loved me when he was diagnosed with cancer, and it was at the end,
Right,
my son tells me every day. I tell each other every day.
Yeah.
So we've got massive progress.
I love hugging my kids. I love spending time with my kids. I love putting as much time as possible into my kids.
And that to me, that is masculine.
Oh, absolutely. And crying is masculine.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's something that this generation of boys who are coming up now, they've got a lot of good going for them as well. Like they're more open about different people. They're more accepting. They're talking about their feelings. They're doing stuff that we have struggled with. But it's also gone the other way where they're lost in this world of gaming and online porn.
No, they really. I see some of these boys, not so much my guy, but a couple of his mates. I go around to the house and I knock on the window because I'm going to pick them up, we're going to do something. I say, I'm not waiting any longer. Come on, guys, off the computer.
Yeah.
They're not even my kids.
Yeah.
But their dad's like, get into them, Duncan, rip into them.
Yeah.
Go for it,
Yeah. And we need to step in. We just need to step in and be the dads our kids need us to be. And that means being present.
It is being present, but also to shake them from the shackles of this stuff because they come out of their rooms after doing this stuff and you might give them dinner. They don't talk to you.
No, they're lost in a fantasy world because here's the thing.
And if they do, it's rude.
Yeah. Everything that they're doing online is so exciting. The rest of the world just starts feeling grey.
No, you told me that last time.
How can you compete with that? So I don't.
How can school compete with that?
Exactly. So they're in the classroom. They can't focus. They can't learn. Like I don't let my boys game at all. They game at their mums, but the weeks that I have them, not having that because I want to be there I want to be there and I want to be spending time with you. I don't want you lost in a fantasy world.
See, we're role models to them. So they see us from very early age. They look up and see this big figure, and they see everything.
Oh,
we sometimes forget that.
Yeah.
So how we model our behaviour is how they might as well. They've got it online, of course, which is what the problem is. But it's also us.
Oh, definitely. So I put when my kids enter the room, if I'm on my phone, I put it away. I want to be present. I want to be here. And sometimes
the kids don't, do they?
Yeah, and then they just sit on the couch and they stare at the ceiling. I'm going, well, this isn't working. Should we go for a walk? Should we?
Are you hopeful? Are you hopeful? Because I mean, they do have some good elements about their modernness as well.
Oh, exactly, and that's what I was saying. Yeah. But they're learning how to be men, not from us dads, but from their peers and what they're learning online. And I talked to my son, who's nearly 17. I talked to him a little while ago. I talked to him about sex quite a lot. And because I haven't allowed him to just have free access to the internet, so he hasn't grown up in part of the porn culture. Right. He probably has in ways that I don't know about.
You won't know about
it. In our home, it hasn't happened.
Yes.
So I say to him, look, when you become sexually active, he might be already, I don't know, you're going to be awesome at sex because you won't know what you're doing. You're going to fumble your way through it, and you're going to listen to what the woman's saying and feel your way through it rather than just trying to do porn on her.
But that's most boys, isn't it?
No, because most boys will just do porn.
Well, that's a worry, because if you look at some of the porn that's available, it's not real life.
No, it isn't. And if you did that to a woman, most women aren't actually going to have a good time if you're doing porn on them.
They'll say, get out of here.
Well, they'll wonder what's wrong with me. So the girls are going, man, all the actresses, all the porn actresses really enjoy this. This is hurting me. What's wrong with me?
How old's your boy?
Almost 17.
And how open are you about sex? And when did you start talking about it?
Very open. We talk openly about it all the time. He doesn't want to hear about it.
Of course he doesn't. From what age?
We first talked to him about sex probably when he was 7 or 8, just the basics.
What'd you say?
Just the mechanics of sex. But as he started to get older, I told him about porn-induced erectile dysfunction when he was like 11. And he went to school and he told all his mates, he said, if you watch porn on your phone, when you're older and you start having sex, you might not be able to have sex.
There are pills available for that.
No, it doesn't fix. Viagra doesn't fix porn-induced erectile dysfunction because it's a programming problem. You're used to getting off to so many different people doing so many different things. When a real-life partner is right in front of you, your brain doesn't see it as arousing.
Are boys as masculine as they were? Because they're trying to find themselves,
Define masculinity, I guess.
don't know.
If masculine is caveman, then no. But we've come a long way from that, and we needed to. Because, as I say, traditionally, men were it's all about fighting, and men are disposable. Traditionally, men are disposable. We're going to war, we're going to die. We all know at some stage we'll probably get pulled, in the old days, we're going to fight and we're going to die. And we're going to go hunt something and it's going to kill us. So we're disposable. We're no longer as disposable as we used to be. So our primary function that, over tens of thousands of years, what it's always been, is we're going to die. But now we're not. So where do we fit?
I wonder if boys also with this whole Andrew Tate business are looking for definitions of a man. So they see this stuff that people call woke in schools, or the acceptance of all this and that, and everything's rainbow this and this. And so they get a bit confused and they're looking for, well, what does it mean to be a man? So that's why they're looking, and they get these bad influences and they think, there's a man. Yeah. That's not a man.
So you see someone who's Andrew Tate, what is he, 6'2", world champion kickboxer, gets all the women he wants, is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Who else do you want to be like? You want to be like your dad who works 50 hours a week and gets home and is grumpy and is a bit overweight and is a bit of a loser? Like, who do you want to be like?
Are you talking about me?
talking about myself.
But it's true though, isn't it? Yeah, you've got to be a role model to your son.
Yeah, and so it's about being present. It's about spending that time with our kids, getting them offline and being there and doing stuff with them.
It's old-fashioned
Go for
stuff.
a bushwalk. Have a chat about stuff. Go out. I took my boys to a golf range for the first time ever a couple of months ago, and they loved it.
Yeah, of course they did.
And my son totally kicked my ass on, he drove so much further than what I could do, and it was great.
Through the holidays, we went go-karting down in Mount Maunganui.
Nice.
The go-karts.
Yeah.
We were a little bit too masculine because we got kicked off.
Nice.
The boys have just been idiots, but
no,
this happens, and the sort of. We were idiots as well in go-karts when we were 15.
Absolutely.
So they're just carrying on.
And better to do that on a go-kart than on the road.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's hope they learn their lesson as they smashed into the sidebar. Hey, good to see you, Rob.
Yeah, thanks
I appreciate
for having me
it.
again.
Yeah, it's a good battle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But be present, put as much time into your boys as possible, and we'll get there.
Yeah, it's old-fashioned advice, but I think it works. Cheers, mate.
Great, cheers.
3 questions from the editor-in-chief.
Okay, so at number 1 today, is it possible to buy a holiday home for $123,000? The answer is yes. I love the story, and it shows how bloody expensive our hopelessly impossible market is. But the home is in Japan and was bought by Kiwi Rosie Kinnamonth Deans. It is 90 minutes south of Tokyo. It has 3 bedrooms, it's 130 square metres, and the reason it costs so little is part of this widespread debate right now online. Some say it's because of the surplus of houses, with an ageing, if not dying, population in Japan and a real lack of immigration. Whatever it is, it's so realistic and affordable. Why have we made this basic human right become such a highly sophisticated and expensive transaction for the very few? I have no idea.
2.
At number 2, who's got the best pie in New Zealand? Okay, let's just forget the Olympics. Okay, although well done to our first gold for our women's sevens team. But the Olympics of Pie Awards was held last night. 5,000 entries, 545 bakers, but there can only be one supreme winner. Of the 110 finalist pies, over half of them from Auckland, one was from Rangiora. It's made history. It's the first time a South Island bakery has secured the top honour in the 29-year history of the awards. Baker Arlen Thompson from Artisan by Rangiora Bakery has won the Supreme Award for her entry in the gourmet meat category. So well done, well done.
3.
And number 3 today, why haven't they asked me to be a judge in the best pie comp? I mean, it suits me. I think I fit the image, don't you? Basically, you have to blindfold yourself and eat pies all day for a solid day. I mean, the vegans asked me to do this for the Vegan Pie Awards. I ate 54 pies on day 2 of my vegan journey. And I was a pig in shit. Well, you can't say pig around vegans. So I can't see why the meat lovers wouldn't want me as well. I'm no longer vegan. I lasted 3 months. I'm back loyal to traditional meat pies. So how about it for next year? Come on. I'm available.
Duncan Garner.
Yeah. Kayla, what do you do with me? If you're a guest, referee, guest judge.
Would I?
Eating pies all day, blindfolded.
I'd just get fat.
You get full.
Wouldn't I?
No, you eat slices of them. You eat very little small slices of them.
I tell you what's a great pie shop is the Fairley Bakehouse.
You got shares in it or something?
No. They've got a pork belly pie and they've also got a crayfish pie. Very nice.
No, what's that one in Hamner Springs? I think it might be.
That one's crayfish.
That's
but
crayfish.
That one's next level. It's like $50 for a pie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But it's legitimate. You got crayfish in it.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's a crayfish pie.
My son wanted a lobster roll the other day. It cost me $40. Lobster roll down the waterfront.
Yeah, well, that was a bad choice, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
Was it nice?
We mean quite rich actually. Quite rich.
Well, shit, yeah, $40.
Yeah, no, four after that. But, quite rich, the sauce and everything in it.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's sort of rich, not money rich.
No, shit, no. I'm a podcaster. Right, the horrendous state of our Defence Force and the homes. Defence Force homes has been called a national disgrace by a military advocate. Aaron Speedy recently launched a campaign called Mission Homefront, asking for submissions from families impacted by these poor living conditions. They're dreadful. They revealed houses full of mould, being unheated for 15 months, having no hot water or running water. In one case, no toilet for 2 months. Where are you meant to do number 1s and 2s? Aaron joins me now. Aaron, g'day. Welcome to the program.
Morena DG. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. So you're also a apart from being a journalist, you're also a spouse. Your partner is in the Defence Force.
Yes, yep, that's right. And I'm no longer a journalist. I haven't been in that role for 5 years or so. But Yeah, so he is in the Defence Force. I'm a spouse. We have two children, 2 boys, and we are based in currently one of the coldest camps in the country.
Tell us about your house. Tell us about the house and the conditions of some of the houses that's motivated you to get going.
So our house is great. We have double glazing, and we are we're a minority. But some of the family living in homes that are full of asbestos, damp, cold, drafty, like you mentioned in the intro there, Duncan, no heating for 15 months, 8 months, 3 months. And it's not just the houses that's having an impact on personnel, it's also the financial problems. Families are getting into debt to try and pay their bills. They can't heat their homes because of the abysmal salaries of the Defence Force. There's no support available. We're talking about families who are left with PTSD after long periods of time separated from their spouses. The issues kind of are significant and comprehensive.
What happens when you go to Defence Force HQ and say, these are the issues? can we have them fixed, please? Because they're also, I would have thought, landlords, and landlords are meant to do the right thing. You see, there's a law around housing now. There's warrant of fitnesses and there's standards and laws, so you've got to get it right.
Yep, 100%, and it's also illegal, an offence in the Building Act to occupy a house that makes someone sick. So when these issues are raised with the Defence Force, they don't get onto them. The basic maintenance is not being done. Just with those examples that I've given you, it's quite clear. When personnel raise these issues with the chain of command, often they are punished at work. And when families raise these issues, they're also often punished at work for, rocking the boat. So there is a long list of problems and no fix in sight.
So they're not allowed to rock the boat. I wonder how your partner's doing then, because you're rocking the boat big time with this big public-facing mission, mission Homefront. How's it gone down with Defence Force?
I've not heard anything from them, Duncan. I've reached out to them multiple times for help and support, and I've not heard anything back. There are people within this camp who are incredibly supportive and have been, but, people are bound by their roles in their ranks, and it's not them who can help it. So it's directly up the chain. We're talking about those in Wellington and in Defence House. And where are they? Where are they? And how are they so separated from the issues on the ground? And how can they even accept that families live in these conditions? And, the Defence Force is the first to respond to issues in New Zealand when it's needed. And this is how we treat it. And it is a national disgrace.
Yeah, we take water and supplies, not just around New Zealand when there's an emergency, but we go into the Pacific and do all sorts of amazing humanitarian missions for other people and for other New Zealanders. But when it comes to your own people, just do not look over here, because there's a disgrace in our corner, but we don't want to address it. I think it's appalling. If it's as bad as you say, and I believe you, then it's just well past time it was sorted.
100%, and Duncan, it's worse than you could imagine. I imagine the worst case scenario, and it's worse than what I could have predicted. So, there's been a lot of nights where I've not been able to sleep because of the situations that these families are in. At the moment, I'm trying to provide wraparound support and advice and guidance to families. I'm not qualified to do this. I shouldn't be doing this. This should be the New Zealand Defence Force's job. They should be looking after their personnel, but they're not. And I believe that that's one of the issues that we have in New Zealand, is that there's no charities, organisations or associations or anyone to represent serving personnel. They're all bound by the Armed Forces Discipline Act, so everything goes under the radar. Nobody has a voice. Nothing gets raised up. There's no one independently to support them. And I believe that compounds all of the issues, to the point where 30% of the Defence Force left over the last couple of years. Like, hello, they're speaking out. They're leaving in droves. Yeah, no, I've heard this many times, and it is a crisis. The pay's crap, and the conditions are terrible, but no one has a voice. Erin, just very, very quickly, what is it you want to see then? How does this thing get turned around? What do you want from the public? I want the public to just be aware of what's happening, to show support for our serving personnel. I want an independent review or inquiry or an investigation or something of the likes into the state of the conditions and how it actually got this bad. I believe there needs to be cross-party political support to actually fund the Defence Force at its personnel and its capabilities. And I also want to see something stood up to support personnel independently in the form of a charity or an organisation, an association. You look at the police force, the police association is right there backing them in their corner publicly. And I believe those are some of the things that we need to address.
Yeah, the structures as well. Hey, good on you, Erin. All the very best, and good luck with your campaign.
Thank you so much, DG. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, very welcome.
Garner.
Yeah, we'll have a chat to Dave very shortly. I think he's on the line. Lots of feedback in here. Duncan, there are heaps of role models for LGBTs and women now. Where are the role models for men? All we've got is people like Tate. Well, check out your father. Check out your father. Is he a role model? Check out your own family for a start. We need role models. We all need role models. Duncan says, James, I have a dad that I know loves me, but showing it, he's useless. First time seeing me in my reading glasses, he picks on me. I think it comes down to how the generations cope and how the generations deal with it. He picked on you, James. You're wearing reading glasses and your dad picks on you. This what a tosser. I hope you're okay, mate. Let's have a chat to Dave. Dave, g'day. Good morning.
Morning, Duncan. I can answer that question right off. I can't look at my father as a role model. He was a terrible, terrible person.
What did he do?
Hyper-violent. Hyper-violent. He used to beat me and my mother.
Really?
So we escaped the women's refuge, yeah, bro. We escaped out through the women's refuge. They got us out of the house. He threatened to burn down the house and shit around me. He was a terrible role model. And, you know...
how did that impact you? How's it impacted you? How have you dealt with that? What do you like?
I was a really angry young man until I fell into the punk rock scene at 19, and I met essentially like a big brother who was like, bro, you got to stop acting like this. This is not how a fucking man acts. This is not how you handle your emotions. You know, you don't go around punching people's lights out because you're mad at something.
Yeah, I was kind of taught that as well, though. I was sort of taught that as well. You know, we got hit, and so it's kind of that's what I was taught. But there's so many better ways. Like, use your words, mate, or just walk away. Yeah. Walk away.
100%. You're always the bigger man when you don't pick up your fist. You walk away.
Well, it's about consequences. You know what? If you go and hit someone, you can kill them, and you go to jail for 20 years, mate. That's what boys need to understand today. That the consequences are massive for a split-second decision that's wrong. Your judgment is everything.
But my other point is that I'm chronically online myself. I play this game called Rust. It is... You dump in there, you got voice comms with other players running around. I hear little kids saying the most offensive stuff ever. And all I can wonder is, where are your parents? You're in your bedroom yelling F-word, you gay piece of shit, this, all these horrible things.
Yeah.
How can your parents not hear you in your bedroom screaming this stuff down a microphone at people?
They've given up. Parents have given up because they don't know how to discipline them. They don't have the tools. They haven't been told. They've given up. The kids keep doing it. Not all parents. No, not all parents. But a lot of parents just say, right, that's the babysitter. It's called a computer. I'm out. I'm going to go and fix the lawn up, you know. But a lot of them have given up.
Yeah, I would agree. Also, I think that because the previous generations were so hard, we've had a major pushback. Everyone's gone to being really soft. And now the kids are pushing back against that. You know?
Who's in charge? Who's in charge, Dave? Who's in charge? The kids or the parents?
Nobody at the moment. It feels like nobody's in charge.
Yeah. God, yeah. No, this sort of mirrors a lot of my life as well. Your grandfather was a disciplinarian, father was too, and I've become a little bit weak on that front. Well, I don't believe in hitting my kids. Simple as that. I'm proud I haven't.
Hitting me didn't work. It didn't work. My dad used to beat me. It didn't make me a better person. It didn't stop me from losing stuff every time he hit me because I lost something.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
Lied about it and did it better.
Yeah, I lost a bit of stuff too. And broke a few windows. He got me in trouble. Hey, Dave, keep in touch, mate. Appreciate the phone call.
Good.
Okay, mate. Take care. Okay.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Yeah, keep the feedback coming in. It's always good to hear from you, and always good to read the feedback too. Right, angry and frustrated police officers continue to get hold of me in the wake of their failed pay claim. I said I'd continue to highlight your plight, and I won't walk away from that. I promise you that, and we're still here. One of the many themes coming through in the emails that I'm getting is how let down they feel by this government, who clearly went out and campaigned as though they would sort this out in their favour, and police responded by voting for this new government. Now many officers feel duped and let down by Chris Luxon and his band of MPs who made no secret of the fact that they would have the cops back. I got this email last night. Hi Duncan, today, 30th of July, I received my long-awaited general wage increase, GWI, of $1,500 backdated to July 2023. I'm in my 6th year of policing and just completed my induction into the detective pathway. I earned just shy of $83,000 total total package, with just over $7,000 of that going to superannuation. That is, 20 grand shy of a first-year cop on the Gold Coast, isn't it? Anyway, that $1,500 is about $900 in the hand as compensation for the last year without an increase. $900 in the hand. Are you kidding me? I still have another 8 to 10 weeks before I see any further increase after we lost the arbitration. I just don't know how my colleagues with families are able to survive. I'm a loyalist, I love this country, and it's sad to see the misery that has been caused out in society due to the serious offending that we're seeing. There is no doubt that the criminal landscape has changed due to the influx of 501 deportees arriving, and the level of criminal tradecraft is improving and the turf up for the competition is limited. I'm gutted that the government chose to fund other things over us. I hate being a whiny cop, but the government campaigned on us massively, only to sell us out. only to sell us out. This is the feeling of a serving police officer today. I'm not leaving. I don't want to. I love this place. I'll stay even if it ruins me. I just wish we had public officials that would do the same. Ngā mihi, Detective Constable X. Now, I wonder if Luxon has a bigger problem to deal with than I first realised. If we don't keep our officers satisfied, maybe we can't make them happy, but at least satisfied, then how do we demand loyalty and performance from them in the field? How do we demand they follow the command? And why on earth would they risk it all out on the beat for this government? Truth is, they won't. We need good officers, not bitter and twisted and unmotivated grumpy cops. One of the concerns of Kiwi officer Ty Rossi, who left for Australia 10 years ago, is corruption. He says if Kiwi cops continually feel underpaid and underfunded, they'll lose the loyalty and they're ripe for the picking, and corruption will creep in. This threatens to fester now, and I'm told more and more cops are heading for the departure lounge as we speak. I personally think the government is yet to feel the real fallout from the pay settlement, and Luxon will get real voter blowback if police numbers fall to the point that the public feels unsafe and police simply no longer turn up. Maybe we're at that point already. And if we are at that point and it gets even worse, then who do we blame? Well, all roads lead to Luxon, I reckon. Simple as that. The government could have chosen to go further for the New Zealand police. It didn't. Now it must live with the fallout of this, and it could be big.
Duncan Garner.
Okay, that is us. This will be available on a podcast very, very shortly. Kayla will do the damage on that. It'll be on Rover very shortly. I'm Duncan at rover.nz. Thank you to my team. Zarina, Caleb, Forrester and Miranda. We'll do this all again tomorrow, of course. Life's no dress rehearsal. There's no curtain raiser. This is what we do. Congratulations to the New Zealand Women's Sevens team. We've got a gold. Back-to-back golds from the last two Olympics. I think that's brilliant. Get out and enjoy your country, folks. Take care. Thanks for listening.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.